All right, folks, if you're watching the replay, we're just going to wait a few minutes here because I'm a couple minutes early, but I like to be a little bit early because what ends up happening is there's usually a time delay for our internet up here. So just hang in there with us. We're just going to wait, so let me see what time it is here. About 3 minutes to get going. Until then, we'll just talk about little things, so. Well, tonight's topic is grid down. It doesn't matter, be it EMP, cyber attack, storm. It doesn't matter. But this conversation is in terms of more of a long-term, I don't want to say permanent, semi-permanent situation. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Hey, Space Girl, nice to see you here tonight. So that's the conversation. Now, guys, I did a video with Greg at Green Greg's. Hey, Cowboy Roy, nice to see you here. Yesterday, that video is getting a lot of traction. It actually is the first grid down, first 24 hours for you. So please hop over to Green Greg's and watch that video if you haven't. This one here, I'm going to expose on some things maybe personally or what have you, but this one here is specifically for what you need to know about farming and what's going to happen. All right. So I am Green's channel. It was great. Thank you, Sweet Liberty. Nice to see you here. You're welcome. Welcome. So there's a lot of assumptions, and thoughts as to what is going to happen to farms. But most of the assumptions and the thoughts and the think tanks that come up with these things are not farmers. They don't, they're not in the industry. So they really don't have a clue on the day-to-day, the feeding and all that stuff. I'm going to go through what's going to happen to the farms and what part you can play and how farms can, your local family farmers, guys, I'm talking specifically, and yes, even the corporate farms, how you can have a hand in helping them and they can have a hand in helping you. And I'm going to give you some ideas and means to within the first 24 hours of a situation with a grid down so that you can better your chances for your family. And yes, it will mean talking to people. Cowboy, KLF World News, live, converting USA travel alert, Ukraine and Embassy 3 being evacuated. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now with the Ukraine folks. Keep everybody in your prayers, the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Americans, anybody who's involved in that, keep them in your prayers. We don't want the innocent to be harmed, and we know that's what happens with war. A friend of mine texted me earlier today. They had a flight to Hawaii that was supposed to leave today. It got canceled for, quote, weather reasons, and I haven't even talked to her about this, but I am questioning whether it really truly was weather or if it's something else. So, take that for what it is. But guys, we'll get the conversation started here because I want to keep this about 20 minutes at the most. We just got done milking cows, didn't we, honey? And so we haven't even had supper yet. So guys, whether it's an EMP or cyber attack, I've discussed this with my daughter. If we're on the farm or and guys, I'm talking about a true farm. I'm not saying that people that don't have homestead aren't farmers, but I'm talking about producers. Okay, I'm talking about people that sell a farm product and sell it to their community and or on the market tonight. Okay, guys, I'm not talking about the small little homestead where you have your couple goats, maybe a milk cow, and your eggs. And not even if you're selling the eggs. I'm talking about tried and true producers in the industry. All right. Case scenario: EMP hits. We're at the farm, or you're a farmer, right? First thing that's going to happen is milkers, lights, all the equipment, all the machinery is going to shut down. There is nothing at a modern farm, even the smallest family dairies, that does not run off of electricity. Now, some of the Amish farms run off of gas. They have gas-powered systems for their milkers and things like that. And if the Amish gas-powered systems, which are usually a Honda motor that pumps a air tank, if that doesn't get knocked out, they would have a better chance of staying up and running than the ones that are on the electrical grid. But 99% of the farmers, grid down, electricity goes out. If you're milking at that time, milkers stop, everything stop. Now, my thought process is, and I've worked with I work in the dairy industry. I have run my own CSA producing food for produce and pastured meats for 50 to 100 families at a time. I've ran farm store. I've started farmers markets, guys. So I've run the gamut, but my tried and true that I've been since I was a kid, since I started working, when I was 8 years old with the calves, I've been in and out of the dairy industry for years. And I can assure you the vast majority of farmers, be it dairy farmers, be it ranchers, be it market gardeners, produce, the big egg, small egg, have no clue of what is to come in the aftermath after an EMP or a cyber attack. They have no clue. I have complete confidence, wouldn't you, Ruby, that if we had a conversation even with our employer, they wouldn't even know what an EMP is. Okay. So lights go out, equipment shuts off, electricity goes down. If they have some older tractors, maybe some of the older tractors are still running. If they are the new tractors, which are all computerized, highly technical, most likely they're not. If by chance these tractors happen to be parked in a metal building and it's insulated enough or it could act like a Faraday cage, thank God, by the grace of God, they still have something going. There is a possibility that they could run a generator. Most farmers have generators that run off of a PTO of a tractor. So even if they're able to get up and running and they think it's just a basic power outage, right? Like at our farm, we'd finish milking, they'd finish milking. And they would, at that point, would not have tested their vehicles. They would have just finished the job that night, even if they get by or they don't, right? What is going to happen is they're going to find out very quickly. Now, if these farmers are able to run generators and nobody tells them what's happening, and they're just, I mean, honestly, once they get in their car and they find out the cars won't start, they're going to know if something's going on. But they would have wasted now already, 25, 30 gallons of gas, whatever it takes to finish that milking or whatever project they're doing at that time to get that generator up and running. So to you farmers out there, don't just assume when the lights go out. And we've had lights go out the farm before, and the boss goes out back, pulls up the tractor, hooks it up to the Jenny, and, we finish our task for the night. But always in the back of your mind, when that happens, like when it happened this last, we're checking our cell phones. We're checking to see if there's any lights elsewhere in the neighborhood. Because in that case, you wouldn't even want to do that. You wouldn't want to waste that gas. Now, what's going to happen? You're going to have to shut things down, save your gas, save any of your assets, right? Now, farmers are going to go to bed that night. They're going to wake up the next morning. If they're dairy farmers, their cows are going to be bellowing. They're going to be full of milk, and they are going to need to be milked, or they're going to be have to be dried up. And a good chunk of those cows will not take to drying up at peak production. They will get mastitis. They will get infection. And nice to see you, Rubicon. Welcome. They will get infection. They will be in pain. Okay. If they manage, because not every cow is at full production all the time, guys. Some of them are on their way down. Some of them are being dried up. So there will be cows that are okay. But for those ones that are at max production, stopping milking like that is no good for them. So the farmer is going to have to make a choice on what to do with them. Now, this is why I say, and I will keep saying this, We are very confident in our state in Wisconsin because we have millions of cows. Okay, we have millions of cows. And if, God forbid, this happens, farmers within the first 24 hours are going to go to their community members, their neighbors, and they are going to be offering up cows for slaughter. And this is where you, as the community member, as a person who wants to give your family the best chance they can, need to and should have been already in the past, having a relationship with your family farms, your neighbors. Because even if it's a produce or beef operation, now beef operations, ranches are going to have, they're going to be able to keep their cows a little longer, especially if you're in the South. I mean, cows eat grass. There's things you can do. Even up here, if it's a beef operation, you know, the big round bales that get, I'm sorry, guys, I bumped my table. The big round bales can be pushed by hand. Me and Ruby push them by hand, and we feed our cows all the time. So not everything will go awry. But in these situations where you would have a confinement, even the confinement operations, 5, 10,000, 20 cow dairy, doesn't matter. Whether it's guys, we don't eat pork, but if that's something you do, if it's a confinement pork operation, chicken operation, whatever, you should be talking to these people now, and have a friendly relationship with them. Because in the first 24 hours when this happens, you are going to have to make the attempt to go to these farmers and say, hey, listen, they may or may not know at that point that they've been hit by an EMP. If they haven't, you're going to have to explain to them what happened. And some of the farmers are going to think that people are coming to the rescue. And they may not want to share right away, but some of those dairy farmers will, because the milk trucks aren't going to show up. Once the milk trucks don't show up, they're going to know something's up. And even the most ignorant of farmers is going to figure out really quick that it's going to take days, if not weeks, for help to come, if there'd be any at all. Okay. So you're going to make that attempt. You're going to go, you're going to introduce, you're going to say, hey, you know, Joe Splo, John, whatever, this has happened. Hopefully you got that relationship. If not, you're going to introduce yourself. I suggest that if you're going, always at this point, you are never without the great equalizer. You're never without a sidearm. But I highly suggest that when you engage, when you walk up a driveway, you do it in a friendly manner, and you have a concealed carry. You're not, you're not toting at that point. You don't want to be perceived as a threat, because I am telling you, farmers are tough folks. They don't put up with things. All right. And we get people that stop here all the time. And you guys, even on my small, farm with produce and stuff, if it's a general citizen in my community and stuff that I know, it's great. But I get strangers and I'm on alarm all the time. So do not put yourself in a position to be perceived as a threat. Introduce yourself and say, hey, this is what has happened. If they know, say, can we come to an agreement here? I know you're going to have cows that are going to be getting mastitis infection. We want to give our family the best chance. Is there something we can do for you? Barter. Don't just walk up to them thinking because they're going to be killing these cows, right, that you just get it for free. Offer something in return, whether that's labor for that cow, and that's pretty much what anybody in close proximity is going to be able to offer, because money is going to be worthless. If you have silver or gold at that point, maybe you're able to offer that. Beans and bullets, offer that. But don't assume because this farmer is getting rid of this livestock that they're just going to give it to you. Don't make that assumption, and don't expect it, because you're owed nothing. You're owed nothing. At this point, I would have hoped you have your cutting boards, you have your tools, your slaughtering equipment, and whether you have actually slaughtered and processed a pig, cow, chicken, whatever that is. I pray that you've been on YouTube, you've been on my Sustainable Stewards channel, other channels like mine, and watch tutorials on how to do this. I pray that you have books at home how to do this. All right. Even if it's warm, as long as you get that animal in the shade and you start processing it, salt, 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 smoke, 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 canning, 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 you are going to be very busy. Now, this is how the farmer can help you. Now, guys, I wholeheartedly reject the notion that nobody's going to help each other out. Like here in Wisconsin, we have so many cows that the community, even the 30,000, 40,000 the bigger towns that are 45 minutes to an hour away will be supplied at least for the first year with meat. I mean, we just have that much. Our small little town here, I believe everybody, as far as meat goes, will be fed for the first year at least. So don't make an assumption that people are just going to go into their caves and that's that. There will be good people. We as farmers, guys, we're already sacrificing our time and our talent and to sow good fruit into our communities. We don't do this, and farmers don't live this lifestyle because they're in it for themselves or to get rich, because nobody's getting rich farming except for corporate big ag that's subsidized by government, and that's not what most farmers are. I mean, locally anyways. A lot of it's going that way, but most people are in it to bless their community and support the community. So don't make the assumption that when this happens, farmers are your enemy and they're going to be gun-toting, ready to take you out if you walk up the driveway. But I do suggest that you get that relationship, that you talk to them now, okay? So that's what's going in the dairy industry. Cows would be dulled out. Now, Greg, my dear friend Greg, says that nobody's coming to help. And he would know more about that from the governmental standpoint than I would, from the federal, what have you. I do know locally in Wisconsin, there is contingency plans in townships for certain situations like this. I do know that the local guard and things like this have plans. Just as like during the Civil War, when war broke out, there was people of the community, and not all of them were good people, some of them were bad, that would go take a portion of your livestock to dull it out the community. I can guarantee you that's what's going to be happening again. But again, you don't want to be pushovers. But of course, a family farm that has, 200, 300, 400 cows isn't going to be eating 200, 300, 400 cows, certainly isn't going to be able to keep up with milking that many either. And if those animals can be dulled out to multiple people, especially if it's in the summer when people can put them in a field anywhere and graze them, milk them, continue to do that, at least have a baby, get a baby off that cow, and then harvest the milk, what have you, they should take advantage of that. Another thing to do is if you're not interested in getting a cow, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Even if you don't have refrigeration, guys, people lived without refrigeration. There are ways and means that you can preserve that animal. You're not stupid. You can smoke, you can cure, you can do these things. You can figure that out. But also, as I said earlier, the milk trucks aren't coming. Get there, get as much of that milk as you can. Guys, learn now how to make yogurts and cheese. Yogurts, you can make yogurt. It'll last, 2 to 3 weeks at room temperature. It'll get more sour and stuff like that, but it won't be bad. It won't go rancid. 2 to 3 weeks, guys, will give you a leg up on other people. It'll give you a leg up for your family. You need every opportunity to do what's best for your family and save them. 2 to 3 weeks of yogurt, milk. If you got a creek, if you got access to water, whatever, you would put the raw milk in that to keep it cool, of course. Learn how to make cheese, guys. You can make farmer's cheese with apple cider vinegar. You don't need rennet even to do that. As long as you got apple cider vinegar and salt for curing, guys, that's how you can extend the lifespan of that milk, guys. And I apologize for this. I forgot to, I'm going to do this and see. Yeah. 1 second, guys. I'm going to turn off there. Can you all hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you can hear me. Extend that life of that dairy product, right? And that's why, guys, that's why humans have made cheese for thousands of years is because it extends the life, and it's a way to preserve that milk product, to keep the calcium, the protein, and all those things. Have these things on hand. You can do it. You can do it. But again, I'm going to reiterate, get that relationship. You should have already had it, but if you don't, go start introducing yourself to your friendly farmer neighbors. Guys, we are here to help our communities. We're not here to be your enemy. We are not here to do that. I'm just going to tell you, not all farmers are like me. We're not like my family. I am very much producing, working in the dairy industry, but I'm also producing 100% for myself and my family and the families that would come here, the extended family. I'm what you would consider self-sufficient homesteading. Okay. Not all farmers are like that. Most farmers have meat in their freezers and things like that, but a lot of them don't have time to garden. All right. So now that's where you come in. You're a good gardener. You got produce, you got things. There you go. You got a good barter for that meat. Okay. So think about these things. And as I said, the ranches and things like that are out on open pasture are going to have much more longevity. They're going to be able to go many months. And of course, as Greg said in the prior video, there are going to be people that do attempt to poach. And so all farmers are going to have a tremendous amount of security. But one of the things I have done in my property, I've got a big greenhouse and things like that. And because I produce for 50 plus families, I have the capability to produce just produce and, fruits and vegetables for 50 homes right around me very easily year round. 100, I would be pushing it to be able to do it year round, but I could. By doing this, I have built in a 3-mile security system, right? Because now if I am working with my neighbors, I am supplying them a life-saving product, and they're bartering with me, whether that's labor, whether that is goods that they've had, right? They have an invested interest to protect the farm. Do you understand? And this, guys, that's how it was. That was how it was years ago. And I'm not just talking about World War II, World War I, and things like that. I'm talking way before that historically. Communities protected the farms because the farms meant life. Guys, the Hatfields and McCoys literally happened because one of the families killed a pig, because that pig meant life for that family for the winter. And that's why there was this blood feud for so many years. Okay. So farms are very important. So, again, have that barter, have that stuff ready. Now, do that within the first 24 hours. Do it within the first 24 hours. You're going to be busy. You're going to be canning. You've got a short window to get this stuff done, and you're going to have many hands on deck to do this. 48 hours, what's going there now with the cows. If they already haven't given some of the cows away to their community members, now the farmers are going out and they're going to be actively pursuing people to take some of the stock. At that point, they have now realized that tractors aren't running. They've got to now save their gas, things of this nature. Some of the equipment, like a skidster, if it was, I believe, because the older skidsters and things like that have very minimal electronics in them. If it was parked in the right way and it was not hit directly, I believe a lot of that stuff still could be running. So some of them will continue to do feedings and things like that. But again, they're going to want to downside the feed that they have. They're going to want to extend the life of that. And in hopes that the grid and things would come back online in 2 to 3 months. I believe that, like here locally, as I said, there are contingency plans locally. I also believe, and I have heard it, I have to confirm this. I've heard it through somebody that's running for governor right now, that Wisconsin has emergency plans set in place to keep our farms up and running. The reason I say that, and the reason I have hope for that, guys, is because you don't have a military without food. Your military is only as strong as the food they have to feed it. No food, no military. The farms in this nation are the absolute first and foremost security that needs to be kept and protected. Absolutely. During World War II, I'm not proud that America did this, but the first thing America did is they bombed all the roads, the supply roads from the farms, basically starving, the towns out in Germany. And that's a strategic thing in warfare that people do, is they either bomb the farms or they bomb the roads. So I do believe that farms will be a protected asset as much as they can if there are parts of the government still up and running and that have been hardened. So guys, I have hope. I'm not like a lot of people that I believe there's going to be a lot of death. But I do believe there's going to be certain states and certain communities that are going to band together to sustain life. I do believe that. And I'm going to go through some of your questions and get caught up on them, guys. So one second here. All right. Yes, Sugar Creek, work together. Can the meat? Absolutely. They used to can deer, pork, and chicken. That's right. Cows will die of thirst in Canada over the winter if they can't keep ice holes open or dig outs. Yes, and that's true, but they would die of thirst here in Wisconsin too. Most of the watering systems that we have are automatic waterers that are heated with an electric element, so they would freeze up. But I know firsthand, like at the farm, we would do what we have to get fresh water. If you have a hand pump, whatever, people be hauling water all day long to get fresh water. Even here, I don't have any. I have one stock tank that has electric in it. One. That's the outside one. All of my tanks within the barn and everything are rubber, right? So here's a suggestion for you guys. I will not have electricity in my barn. Too many barns burn down like that, or with the heated tanks. So we have rubber, right, Ruby? Mm-hmm. And they freeze up. Our animals learn that when we come out there, it's frozen. We de-ice in the morning. They get 2 5-gallon buckets in that container. They drink it up, and then they don't get any until at night. And that's the way you got to run things. That's how it used to be ran. There's also, you can also burn wood, and you can make wood kind of gasifiers and things for stock tanks. In Minnesota, we just received an agricultural survey. The USDA is looking to know how many producing farms and who is running them. Also, if we have possible acres not being farmed. Guys, yes, because farmers are going out of business. We lost in 2021 one farm a week here in Wisconsin. And I've had videos about this before. It's because of government subsidies subsidizing the big corporate ag. They are making it so that the small farmer cannot make a profit. They're putting them out of business. But the government's finding out very quickly that they've made some mistakes, and they're trying to do that. Now, the government has the right to send out that information and ask how many. They have a right constitutionally. It's been proven that they have that. I don't fill that stuff out. I don't want anybody knowing nothing. I don't want a paper trail to my front door. I will work with my community members. I'm not going on the federal level. That's my thing. Okay. But so guys, I do suggest this now at 48. Now, by the end of the 48th hour, we're talking day 3, stock is going to start getting killed, especially in these confinement operations. Now, because remember, they have X amount of feed, right? And they're going to want to keep that feed as long as they can. So whether it's a confinement chicken operation, egg operation, all that, they're going to start killing this stuff. Get to those places, get that stock. Take it home if it's egg layers. You can, guys, I have videos on sustainable steroids, how you can 100% be grain free, feed free, and feed your chickens year round, without having to have access to mills. You can do it. Pre-industrial agriculture, people didn't feed their chickens flipping corn and stuff. That kind of stuff went to the cows. The wheat was made into bread. I mean, they didn't do this stuff. Chickens were, I gotta get a different setup than this. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for the wiggle. You know, there's things you can do, but get to these farms at that point. That's the first 48 hours. After that, continue your working relationship with them. Continue your working, your barter systems and things like that. But yes, within 48 hours, a lot of them are going to be down. They're going to be killing animals, and they're going to realize that the Army Corps of Engineers isn't coming right away. I do believe that people will come, National Guard, Army Corps of Engineers, to keep things up and running as much as they can, but that's still going to be, there's still going to be a time frame there where they're not able to get there. I mean, even in Katrina, for Pete's sake, the Army Corps of Engineers didn't arrive until, 4 to 5, 6 days later to help these people. So don't assume that every farm is going to get help, number one, but don't assume that all of them will shut down either. I do believe, like I said, that for us to keep a military, that they have to be fed. They have to be fed. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my chats again here. I quit farming this season. Blair, what kind of farmer were you? And that's too bad. It's sad to see good farmers quit and go out of business. Sometimes it's just because of retirement, and that's, hey, great, fantastic. But the vast majority of people going out of business right now because they can't afford it. And they're just not making, I'll just call it Ronies. What the Ronies did is there's just this big transfer of money from the family business to corporate business. That's what it did. That's what this is a great reset that all this was about. And as Greg said, yes, fertilizers have gone up. They've doubled in price. So people are going to be struggling this year to get that, and that's going to be a challenge. That doesn't mean all farmers will be going out of business, but that's going to be a challenge this coming year. I look at it as an opportunity because I do believe in sustainability, and I don't like chemicals. Okay, things can be done without them. It's not the 1930s and 40s. We know more about ecosystems and agricultural now than we ever did. And there are things that you can do to minimize the use of, pesticides and fertilizers and things like that. My boss has a vast majority of his farm into no-till at this point. So, there's things we can do to mitigate this, but it'll take time. So I'm praying that all this price hikes is an opportunity to farmers to look at this and say, hey, this isn't economically sustainable. We have to make a move. And whatever move they're going to make is going to be better for the earth. So we had grain and cattle, 2,800 acres. Wow. Nitrogen has tripled. Yes. Yep. So I'm assuming that you are retirement age, Blair. Hopefully that's what it was. And you're just going to enjoy life now. Nice to see you, Christy. Most small farms aren't profitable for over a decade, the overhead expenses, and that's it. And here's the other thing, guys. Here's another problem. Now with this, how Biden is $600 thing in the bank, and they can see all this. At year 7, if you're not showing profitability, you get audited by the IRS. So these are big threats against the family farm. Okay. Most people are farming. It's a wash. They get tax breaks. They're breaking even. They're not, but if you are a smart farmer, you can, even in bad times, you can make some money, so guys, that's the first 24 hours. I've given you that. I kind of went into the 48th hour, but guys, I would believe Blair would agree with me that, they're either retired or they quit farming now, that we're here to help our community members get in there, start talking. For God's sake, back in the day, we used to take a cake or a pie to our neighbors and say, hey, I'm just here to introduce myself. Do it. Start up a conversation. Don't do it at milking time. Don't do it at chore time. Go at about noon to 1 o'clock when the farmer's having lunch. And that's a little bit of downtime usually, especially in the winter months. Guys, it will be bad. There's a lot of stuff. And I can't even go through everything here in detail and what I think is going to happen and how things will go down, right, Ruby? Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. And we had this discussion a couple days ago. She said, Mom, if we were at work and the radio, we heard you got 5 minutes to get home, incoming missiles, what have you, I said, we would take a minute, wouldn't we, Ruby? Mm-hmm. We would say, Stacy and Phil, this is what happening. Power's going to go out. It's not coming on. Your tractors, your cars, this won't work. Get your kids home. Do what you have to. You are welcome when, to come get produce at our house, what have you. God bless you. Give them hugs, and we'd have to run. We'd have to book it to get home. Because as I said in Greg's video, I work in close proximity to home, milking, and I do the farming here. I do all the producing. My husband has a professional job outside of the farmstead. And my job is to secure the property. My job is to make sure that nothing goes missing the first 48 hours. And Ruby's my backup. Guys, she's 12 going on 13. She's a hardworking girl. She milks cows every day that I milk cows, don't you? She takes care of the calf. I'm really proud of this girl here. We homeschool. She's a hard worker. She does her homeschooling. And she's just, I couldn't be more proud of this kid, guys. They're making... But, guys, and I do these videos and I have these conversations because this is what it's about. It's about our children. It's about our family. I'm a grandma. I have a year-old grandson, and I got another one on the way for my oldest daughter. I make these videos for them because I know that if you're taking care of your family, you are going to be a lesser threat to my family. I know that if you are taking care of your family and you're preparing and you do what you have to do, that you're not going to be out there on the road scavenging and starving and putting my daughters in a position to have a threat in their life. That's why I do these videos. And just to be a light, guys, just to be a light. I teach self-sufficiency. I teach homesteading. I do all this stuff. My other channel focuses more on that, the tutorial part of it. But I also do speaking arrangements and things like that at churches and at libraries and things like that. So, guys, like and share this video, please. I'm trying to get my subscriptions up on this channel. I'm almost to 500. I'd like to see 1,000 by in the next couple months. And there's a lot happening. Hug your family. Be prayerful. Make sure you're right with God, guys, because I can tell you all this, and if you're not right with God, it is for nothing. It's for nothing. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. God bless. And stay safe.